Welcome to the quarterly webinar series, my deep dive. Today, we are going to talk about the warrior mindset. This is a unique lifestyle approach that I have put together to, that I've lived really and assembled, if you will, and ultimately I've documented here to share with you this unique lifestyle approach for entrepreneurial success. And the way I framed this warrior mindset really is all about the samurai. They ruled Japan from the 12th century up until the 19th century. 1869 is when when this whole warrior class was removed and Japan became went into its next phase of democracy. And they've lived and worked for centuries with this code of honor, courage, and discipline. And I think that really highlights to a great extent what I'm going to share with you here today. 9 mindsets, 9 ways that I've lived my life and have built my life up over time that I think really mimics how the samurai class might have lived back in the day. I'm sure I'm over romanticizing it a bit, but because we're just, I think we're all lucky to be living in this time where we're living right now. But nonetheless, it's the work I've done in my life, being a consultant and the travel I've done. I feel like I've been a warrior, if you will. And so I think a lot of it applies to me and a lot of it can apply to you. My goal for you listening is get some inspiration, and maybe even one concrete idea. If you can get one concrete idea that will help you, that you can apply, man, you're going to be all the better off in your life and in your business. So let's jump right in here. So living this warrior life, there's 9 elements to it: body, mind, eyes, ears, spirit, mouth, hands, heart, and legs. And so I'm going to take you through all nine of these and show you how they apply to this warrior mindset, how you can apply them to your business and your life. So live the warrior life. Number 1, the body. And the challenge that I had early on was both a physical challenge and a mental challenge. When I was starting up my consulting practice, I realized that I really had a lot of travel I needed to do, and I needed a physical stamina to do this, but I also needed a mental stamina. Early on in my life, I was pretty moody, went up and down, up and down, up and down, my energy up and down, up and down. And it took a lot of introspection for me to figure out how my own body works. And I realized that I just needed a lot more physical exertion to even out my mental attitude in life. And so I needed this both for physical stamina and mental stamina. Also recognizing I would be doing this traveling and really needed to prepare myself. And so this first warrior mindset is health above all else. We all have multiple goals in life. I'd ask you guys to mute yourself. I can hear people talking through here. So if you've just come on, please mute yourself. Or actually, I'll have to go in and mute everyone and then unmute myself. Oh, no, I'm still unmuted. All right, perfect. Let me try this once more. All right, I think you can still hear me. So a healthy person has all kinds of goals in life. We all do. But an unhealthy person only has one goal in life, and that's to get healthy. And so if you want to reach all your goals in life, you've got to stay healthy above all else. So that's the first mindset and lifestyle I want to share with you. I dug deep into the science of food. I've always been a little bit overweight growing up. I was a little bit pudgy, and right now I'm really in the best shape I've ever been. And a lot has to do with studying how food works. This is not a food webinar, so I'm not going to dive into that. but there's really a lot to how you eat and what you need to eat that will give you that energy and stamina and keep you fit. I invested in a trainer. I'm a little lazy really when it comes to working out. So you got to pay people to hold you accountable to train at that level you want to. But variety is key for me, right? I do different types of working out, different types of training. I've even done yoga. My wife does yoga. I'm open to all of it. And I think the variety helps quite a bit. So health above all else. And if you've ever been unhealthy or sick, you know what I'm talking about. I've gotten COVID twice. What's the goal? God, you just want to get over it. That's the only goal until you're healthy again. So stay proactive. Don't wait to get unhealthy. If you can stay as healthy as a Tom Brady, or, let me pick Tom Brady, or anybody who's, who plays in the World Cup, right? The sports people do it, and we have to do it. We have to, in order to operate at the highest level that we can for a business, for our family, for our life. So that's living the warrior life, number one, health above all else. So living the warrior life, number two, is the mind. Now, the challenge to the mind for me personally is when I was growing up, I hated to read. I loathed reading. It was excruciating for me. I must be a little ADD. When I was 6 years old, I was given a gift, a beautiful encyclopedia set of, an encyclopedia for young kids of the sciences, really. It was a science encyclopedia. God, I'd love to have that today. But I cried and I wailed and I stamped my feet. I hated reading. And that was the big gift I got, the big birthday present. I was short-sighted, obviously, but it's how I'm hardwired. Now, I did go to school. I did go to college. I did force myself to read and to study, and I actually ended up studying science, chemical engineering. But after my education, I thought to myself, and even after my MBA, which I had to learn and study more, I thought to myself, all right, I've made it. I'm done reading. And there were a few years there where I'm like, I am not reading anymore. No more business books. No more nothing. I'm done. And then I looked around as I was starting up my consulting firm, and I'm like, oh my God, I have just created my own biggest Achilles heel, this loathe of reading that sort of dogged me ever since I was a kid. And I realized I had to turn this weakness into a strength. And so the second warrior mindset is to keep your mind sharp, always be sharpening your mind. Like a blade, it always gets dull, and knowledge is always moving on. And so you always have to keep sharpening your mind. I have taken books and integrated them into my daily living, reading in the morning. When I wake up, we read books in our peer group. So I've made it part of what I do. And anybody here that's in the audience in one of my peer groups, it's a big help because we're all busy. And so now I vet books that I think will have the biggest impact, and I share them with my peer group members. The key, however, is not to read just business books. You have to read non-business books as well if you want to really grow your vocabulary and grow your imagination of what the world has to offer. And so that's fiction, nonfiction. It can be biographies, right? That's a place to start. I love reading biographies. Shoe Dog, what a great biography. I've read, you can see in my bookshelf here, I love music. So I have like a whole bookshelf here of musicians' biographies. Pete Townsend, what a genius. And I read about Einstein here, right? Another genius. But also reading other fiction books, nonfiction, will really expand your mindset. Business books, I love them. I got them left, right, and center here. But they are somewhat derivative, meaning they're kind of built on each other, and there's a bit of repeat. There's a lot of repeat in some cases. And so to get these new ideas, non-business books, my partner, my life partner and business partner, she reads every morning the Wall Street Journal. She reads the Harvard Business Review every month. She's always tearing out articles for me that might pass me by. I have it on my app here. So I read New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, but I don't get to everything. And she pulls out great articles for me. And so it's good if you can have accountability partners in this whole reading and keeping your mind sharp. When you work with me and my peer groups, I'm your accountability partner, but it's good to have people tearing out articles for you. And you can use accountability partners in other ways. You can read books in your company. A lot of my client companies do book clubs. And so there's really multiple ways to integrate reading. And of course, I'm a big podcaster. And so podcast is part of it. But I'll tell you why reading a book is good, or listening to a book. It takes a lot of thought. I've written 3, there they are. It takes a lot of thought to coalesce and unpack and repack all your ideas into chapters. And that takes a lot of work. And so there's a lot of thought you pick up when you read a book. I think you should do podcasts as well. And I think you should integrate all that. So keeping your mind sharp. We don't have time for this, right? I don't have time. You don't have time. It's a busy world. So carving out the time, using accountability partners to help you to keep your mind sharp. Okay, we are making some good time here. So we'll have time for Q&A and breakouts here. Living the warrior life. Number 3, your eyes. The challenge is that I see, especially in America, some of you are Canadians, and really in North America, a lot of places here look the same. I could drop you off into a town, and you could go to Route 1 and you might not know where you are. Yes, there are some unique towns. I live in one, it's New Orleans. But a lot of the US looks the same. And then when you do travel, it's just easy to be a tourist and just kind of like a lemming, right? And go like where the other tourists go, and go on the tourist tours and things. And so one of my mottos in my peer groups is, let's get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's the challenge for you. We're all very comfortable. You know, I'm in New Orleans, which is known for restaurants, and it's easy to get stuck in, hey, I'm going to go to my favorite bar. I'm going to go to my favorite restaurant. I'm going to eat my favorite hamburger. Even in a wild town like New Orleans, I have to work to set reservations and trying new restaurants. I think we all have this challenge. And so comfort is not your friend, but we all crave comfort. We all like to get into the routine. And so my mindset number 3 is expand your vision with travel, getting outside of your normal day-to-day. And that could be in your own town, but I also mean within your state, within the country, and within the world. Charlie Tremendous Jones, he's famous for saying that you'll be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. And I would add to it, I think there's a third, that you'll be the same person except for the places you travel that are new to you. Books, people, and the places you travel. I've lived in 4 countries. Let's see, US, and by live, I mean, some of them were short stints, but really living and integrating into society nonetheless. I did a semester abroad in London. I lived in Germany for a year and a half, lived in Holland for 4 years. And so in the US, lived in 4 countries. I've traveled to over 30 countries. And so the key to learn is to go deep. When you go as a tourist, you don't really, you don't see what's really going on in that country. You can go to Amsterdam. Really? What are you going to learn about the Dutch? A little bit. You can go to Berlin, where I live. What are you going to learn about the Germans? A little bit. But when you live in a place and you go deeper than a tourist would, you see, oh my God, this country is totally different. Germany, by and large, they're very Western, modern. At first blush, you might think, yeah, they're just like us. No, they're very different in many ways. And so the challenge I give you is to travel to other places, but really get off the tourist tour and go deep and spend time with the locals and really learn about their culture. And that's going to open your eyes. And that's going to allow you to bring back new thinking to your home, your business. And me personally, I find it fulfilling, this type of traveling. So expand your vision with travel, embrace the travel, but don't just be the tourist. Take time to go deep. Live the warrior life. Number 4, your ears. And so the challenge is that you don't know what you don't know. We all think, wait, I should be careful here. It's easy to think, especially when you get older like me, you know what's going on. I've lived a lot, multiple relationships, lots of kids, lived in lots of places, had ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, lived through multiple recessions and stock market crashes, not just one, which some of you haven't even lived through, but many, many. And you think, oh, I know what's going on, but we don't know what we don't know. And chances are, if you're in a friend circle that runs long and deep, then your friends don't know either. And so how will we continue to grow? And that's why the 4th mindset here is to enlarge your perspective by meeting new people. And this comes back to Charlie Tremendous Jones, right? The books you read and the people you meet. And so the challenge is to get outside of your circle and your friend circle to meet new people. It will expand your knowledge and your worldview, which is how you process knowledge. And so you're going to learn 2 ways: by seeing the world and learning knowledge through someone else's eyes, and just also taking on someone else's worldview for the moment and looking at the world differently. We used to do this in the US up until about 1990. Ronald Reagan was the last president that would meet weekly with the other party and have food with them. And politics was much more interactive and cordial, and hey, let's go out together and have a drink once we're done debating on the floor of the Senate. And so we would be open to other people's worldviews. Now, if you're highly political, man, you are not doing that. You're not accepting to even look at the other person's worldview. And so we don't have to get caught up in politics, right? I'm saying we need to expand our knowledge and worldview by interacting and being open to other people's worldviews. It's really the core value of the Leader's Edge, my peer groups that I run. We bring people together where the differences are great. Different religions, different politics, different love of sports, different hobbies, different weather patterns, different, therefore, lifestyles based on where different people live. I love the peer groups that I run because I get to meet personally people that I just would never meet in my life if I worked a 9-to-5 job. It's eye-opening, exhilarating. It could be scary sometimes. Oh my God, look how that person lives. But ultimately extremely rewarding. And so, joining one of my peer groups is one way to do this, but there's many ways to get outside your comfort zone, even in your own town, and meet people. And with that, enlarging your own perspective, your knowledge, and your world view. Extremely important. I have found on my journey to be an outstanding consultant. And I think everyone here wants to be outstanding. Anyone who's listening in is on that journey of becoming outstanding or being outstanding, whether it's you're a manager or an owner or a dad or a mom, whether you're leading a nonprofit organization in your town. Bringing this leadership of knowledge and worldview perspective is really critical. And personally, I find it very fulfilling. Okay, that's number 4. Number 5, living the warrior life, is spirit. So this has been a big learning curve for me. And it started with a personal challenge of my third child, my daughter, who's now 21. She's adopted. And when we adopted her, we were her fourth caregiver, meaning, she had her birth mom, and then a friend took care of her. And then the friend brought her to an orphanage, and then we came in the picture. That's four caregivers when we picked her up at 9 months old. And because of that, she had reactive attachment disorder, RAD, R-A-D. Basically, not forming relationships and, always having this protective barrier. And it caused many issues for her growing up. And we basically couldn't handle it. My wife and I were not equipped. And so we needed outside help. And ultimately, and she needed outside help. And so ultimately we found that during her high school years, and she lived in therapeutic boarding schools and got help. And what happened is, we tried to be part of her solution, but we became part of the problem because we were just in this washing machine with her and then bringing our own baggage to it and going around with her. And so, yes, we're part of the solution, but we also became part of the problem. And so the mindset here is to strengthen yourself. And I want to say strengthen yourself first. You don't get to do it sequentially, but you can't put yourself off to the end. And I learned that working with my daughter. We did a lot of therapy together. I did a lot of therapy together, a lot, years with her. And to help her, we had to go through and do our own therapy. We did it with her, and they said, well, we really think you should go off and do marriage counseling. And they didn't even know us. And that was just like, our experience is you're going to need it in order to help your daughter. And so we had to do it together. And then we had to read books and really work on ourselves one-on-one with therapists and together and with counseling and reading and studying. And I think that's the lesson, that if you want to help other people, you've got to make your own spiritual journey. And it's not a therapeutic journey, but it's really a spiritual journey, getting to know yourself, getting in touch, getting grounded. And so that's been really part of my life. I want to say even before my daughter, needed help, before I even had her, but through that whole process, through that washing machine and dryer, if we're going to stick with the metaphor, really learned quite a bit. My wife and I, my partner and I, at the end of every day, we will do daily successes. How was your day? Hey, not the complaints, how was your day? Or what were the problems you had? How was your day? But tell me about your successes. What did you accomplish today? Even if it was a mundane day, we look for those successes and the places we can be happy with and satisfied. Happiness is a choice, right? Satisfaction in life is a choice you make. And I find it very important to find what's good in life, what's good about our own lives, and celebrate that. Yes, a lot of problems we got to solve. And trust me, we work on the problems too, but having that daily routine of, getting regrounded really helps. Affirmations. I don't do them every day now, but there was a time when I did them every morning, and I still do it on an ongoing basis as needed. Meditation as well. Meditation can be with an app, right? A lot of apps that help you do it. Sometimes sports. You get meditation by doing, could be yoga. I do a lot of race car driving. It's a form of meditation. When you're on the track, all you're thinking about is one thing, or maybe 10 things, but nothing else outside of that. And when you can really lose yourself in something, I think that's a form of meditation. Journaling, I don't do it every day now, but there was a time when I did a great deal of it. Extremely helpful to work your way through issues. And I don't pray, but I'm sort of jealous of people who do, because I imagine that it's this built-in meditation and affirmations process that helps ground people. And so there's a lot you can do to get close to the core. I will say, though, as you go on this process, you've got to be flexible because we change as we work on ourselves. And if you're with a partner, your partner's going to change, and that's uncomfortable. You've got to be ready, willing, able, flexible, and wanting to be with somebody where they're going to change. And when they change, it forces you to change. You have to. That's why it's uncomfortable for one partner when the other partner is working on themselves or going through some change, because they're going to move, and all of a sudden it forces you to move, but you're not in control. And so we, as humans, we don't like to be out of control. And so when our partners, so sometimes when a partner improves themselves, we try to hold them back. So just be careful of that, right? As you try to gain your own spiritual grounding, and you're doing this with a partner, and you're both working and improving, you know, and your life, as you grow up and you get older and you're married for a while, you know, why do people get divorced when their kids leave the house? Because they've kind of grown apart. Their love isn't there. And I mean, there's all kinds of reasons. I won't go into all the details, but you really have to kind of reinvent a partnership as well and be prepared for those changes. And so there's strength in yourself so that you can be there for other people, and there's be willing to, for other people to grow and adapt as you're doing that, and be flexible in that process. So that's all part of this warrior mindset. Number 6, the mouth. The challenge here is life is busy. Life is chaotic. Life is throwing you curveballs. And I used to think, hey, the older you get, the more time you'll have. I was telling somebody this yesterday, but gosh, no, the older you get, the more networked your whole life gets, complex. You know, your kids may leave the house and you have grandkids and other responsibilities, and life seems to get busier the older I get, not less busy. And so there's never enough time in the day. And so the key here is to spend time using your mouth to articulate your goals daily. This I have found is absolutely critical to my personal success, my business success, helping my clients succeed, being organized enough to help people in my family life succeed. And so strategic planning is not enough. It's not enough to just set annual goals. And I do this with quite a lot of people. I do strategic planning with companies. Owners will bring their leadership team to New Orleans. We'll even meet in my house. It's set up as a retreat center. And I have a whole process where I take them through strategic planning, and we set 10-year goals, the vision, and 3-year and 1 year. And then we set the quarterly goals. It's not enough. If you could leave here and not get anything done without a structure to achieve your weekly goals and in essence, your daily goals. And so it's absolutely critical that you take time every day to review your plans, including your big goals and your annual goals and your quarterly goals. And you make sure every day you're doing something towards those bigger goals. Otherwise, life is chaotic. It's busy. There's curveballs. And you just get stuck getting everything done in the day-to-day, and you feel good, but you didn't move forward towards your strategic goals. And so articulating your goals daily means it means 2 things: journaling, writing them down. I write down my goals in my schedule, and I plug them into my schedule as actions to make sure that they get done. And Corinne, my partner, was telling me, she said, you know, I don't know anyone else that can schedule out their life and their goals on their schedule as well as you. And she said that about me. And, you know, sure, your partners always try to lift you up. But she said that a lot of clients, I guess, tell me this, that, you know, it's this unique skill I've developed in order to scale the consulting practice. It is key for all of us, for all of you. And so really, I want you to take a couple takeaways from this. Number one, I want, and anyone who coaches with me knows I am adamant about once a week, really sitting down to look at your longer term goals, and once a day, looking at your goals for the week and the month and making sure they happen. If you don't do that quiet planning, and I don't mean the schedule of the work that has to get done on the job sites, I mean your quiet planning to get your strategic and your longer term goals met. So absolutely key. And you've got to teach your team to do this. You've got to teach others to do this as well. You've got to learn it as the owner or the manager, and you've got to teach the people that report to you, the people that work with you, to do their own quiet planning. And again, not just the schedule. Yes, that's a good place to start, but whatever they're trying to get done in their department, their division. So you can bring this structure through strategic planning and weekly review. Weekly review is absolutely critical. You can bring that structure and take it a step further and teach and mentor all your leaders on how to do that kind of daily planning. The other thing you can do is to tell people about your goals. If you want to achieve something in life, personally, professionally, tell others what you're trying to do, and the world will help you achieve it. It's amazing. Tell people about your BHAGs. I mean, that's one of the great things we get in the peer groups that I run is you're in a group and you're telling people the BHAGs, and they come back to you with ideas. And so within the peer group, outside, make it a point of sharing, your goals that are so, they might even be embarrassing because, gosh, do I have the right to even dream this big? But it's sort of, let me think how to say this. Oh, let me mute everybody. All right, muted everybody again. You can still hear me, right? I'm assuming you can. All right, you guys can hear me. I was just checking John Wood's comments there. Don't be embarrassed by your goals. Don't be embarrassed by how big you're dreaming in your heart, in your mind, in your private conversations. Share those goals. If you're an employee, share them with your boss. Share them outside in the world. The world will conspire to help you achieve those goals. Now, if there's people in your life that are naysayers, I did not put this in here. This is not part of the mindset, but it is absolutely critical. You've got to remove the naysayers from this process. You really want to remove the naysayers from your life. Now, if you have some childhood friends that are naysayers, all right, find a place for them, right? But as you're trying to change, at least this is true for me, as I grow up, I'm really trying to fulfill myself and let go of the garbage and the shackles that baggage I picked up on the way as I was a kid, and become my best version of myself. There's a lot of letting go you have to do, and you have to be careful of who you let into your life. So you have been burned by telling certain people your goals. Don't let that stop you. Just be self-aware who you're sharing this with, but use your mouth to a positive end. Do your daily planning and teach others to do the same. Number 7, your hands. We've talked a lot about self-improvement and ways to help yourself. The challenge I find in the world is not everybody can do what I can do. Not everybody can do what you can do. We may live in a country of equal opportunity, but not everybody has the foundation that we were born with, the skills. I mean, I grew up with parents that are still married to this day. We had dinner together every night. We worked together in the business, in my family business. We were always together. My parents were entrepreneurs. Both sides of my family, very constructive and entrepreneurs on both sides. I mean, it's really a wonderful platform. Not everybody has that. I can see that living here in New Orleans, right? And it's a land of equal opportunity, but people still need our help. And for those of us that are doing well, it's incumbent upon us to help others. And I put in here, capitalism requires a community. Every man and woman for themselves only gets you so far, because if you want to grow a business, you know you need a community to support the business, and the business should support the community. We learned that. There's this law of reciprocity that when we help others, we get more. So if you want to take this from a selfish perspective, the more you help the world, the more the world actually helps you and gives back to you. And so you could say this from a selfish perspective, right? What do they call that? Enlightened selfishness. There's a different term, but the challenge is really that we've just got to, in our busy life, got to realize that to those that really have a lot or have gained a lot, we can help others. In my coaching and consulting, at least twice, and then maybe more than twice, I've helped people not get divorced, on the brink of divorce. And in one situation, I worked with both. In another, I just worked with the husband, but helped them work through that challenge. I've helped multiple companies not go bankrupt. And I've helped many entrepreneurs get out of the washing machine and, live a more proactive and settled and productive life. And there's more that I can do. And there's more that you can do. Every interaction we have with somebody out in the world, we can either end it with a smile and make their life a little better. We can do neutral, which I don't know, no value in that. Or we can leave it worse because we're angry and we're busy. So every single interaction, we can put a little bit more of joy, life, and hope and happiness into the world, just through our day-to-day actions. I have studied, not only have I given back, but I've studied the art of giving back. And it really helps not to spread yourself in too many charities. Actually, if you take a smaller amount of nonprofits and charities you want to contribute to, and go deep, not broad, you'll have a multiplying impact. So I give to Son of a Saint, which is a local organization here. And I meet with the founder and we talk through what he's trying to do. And my wife helps out and volunteers, and I volunteer. So we've gone very deep, and the impact we have goes beyond just a bit of money that we contribute, but we can really move that whole organization. And so I think if you pick a few organizations and go deep, you can really help way beyond money. And if you're an entrepreneur, then you can use your skill sets to help those organizations. I like to race cars, as you know, and just this weekend, I was approached where they want me to become an instructor. I'm not that good. I never thought of myself as being an instructor. And the guy's joking. He's like, trust me, the beginners, you can help them. They need your help. And so I still have to be invited, but I'll get invited. I'll go through a training class on how to be an instructor. And who's going to learn from this? I'm going to learn, because as I'm helping others, I'll become a better driver as well. So this giving back has a huge amount of reciprocity. So that's another example where I can go deep in an organization that for me was just a hobby. So go deep and go close to home. Yes, I give money to Africa. You see people traveling in the world to help needy people in other countries, but you don't have to go that far to help. Many of you that own larger companies, you probably have employees in your company that would qualify for the help that you're donating and doing outside of your company. You don't have to go far to really have a big impact on people. In fact, right in your own company is a place to start. So live the warrior life means making other lives better. Once you've reached a certain level of self-actualization, start helping others, lift other people up. Okay, number 8, we have 2 more here, the heart. So this is interesting. About 10 years ago, with a client named Jim, he invited me in. He ran a landscape company in Pennsylvania, multi-branch, and I met with 20 people on his leadership team. It was more than his leadership team, but it was really the next level of middle management. And the exercise I had was an icebreaker. And I said, what do you do? What are you doing that, sorry, I'm just looking at a few things here. What are you doing that, sorry, just checking out a couple things. Sorry, what are you doing? What did you do when you were a child or a teenager that brought you joy? What was that? And then are you still doing it today? That's what I asked. And half the team, 10 people at least, shared something they were doing and they were still doing it today. And I don't know where I came up with that icebreaker. And as everyone spoke, I realized, oh my gosh, I am not doing today what brought me joy as a teenager. When I was a kid, I loved fixing up race cars or sports cars, driving fast, probably illegally back then, and tinkering with cars, and it was my joy. And I realized I had given it up. I was totally removed from that. And so I made it my goal to get re-engaged myself with what brought me joy. And when I was growing up, my first car was a BMW 1600 series. Look it up. My second car was a 2002, which those cars are actually the same body type. Many of you will know about the 2002. And so then I went out and I bought, I forget if I bought the 330 Xi, if that's the car I got. But then soon after, or a few years after, I bought the M2, which really was my joy car because it was sort of the modern version of the 2002. And I've since bought a Porsche and I've been racing that on the track. And it's what I did as a kid. I did a lot of backpacking as a kid. And so I've tried to do more backpacking now. And my wife and I have committed to doing some backpacking on the Appalachian Trail. I did cooking as a kid, believe it or not. And I've always really done that. I keep doing that. Biking, I did a lot of biking as a kid. My wife and I are going to go biking next year on the coast of Italy and old Yugoslavia, which is now a few separate countries, Croatia, etc. We're going to kind of go on a multi-day bike trip throughout parts of Europe. And music I always loved as a kid. And hey, I live in New Orleans, still got the music going. So it's these things hobbies we do, and often we did them and have done them for years and years, that keep the passion lit. And it's just something you have to carve out. You can involve your family. I can take my daughter and son to the racetrack with me and get them into Miatas, which I've done. You can take your kids fishing and hunting. And a lot of you already do this, but making sure you keep your fire lit, keep your passion going. You'll find new passions. I would really like to take harmonica lessons. I know how to play harmonica. Got one right. I always have harmonicas with me here. Actually, I have 2 right here. But I'd really like to take lessons and learn how to play the blues professionally. So you guys will be my accountability group here. I would like to carve out some time to do that as well, and check back in a year and see if we've done that, or if I've done that. Okay, number 9, the legs. I think this is key. The challenge, when you die, you'll look back and it'll be the regrets in life, things you didn't do that will haunt you, not the things that you did do, unless you went to jail. Okay, that may haunt you, but, or did something terrible. But in general, it's the things you didn't do that will haunt you, that you'll regret. And these are the gaps between your dreams and reality. we grow up with amazing dreams. I want to be a fireman. I want to be an astronaut, right? We have all these dreams, and then we have reality. And how closely do they line up? Are they off and they're kind of heading off in different directions? Are they off, but you're bringing them back together and interweaving your dreams and reality? I find that it's the bold moves you make in life that really set your major direction. And if you look at how you got to where you are today, this would be a great journaling exercise. Look back at your bold moves you've made. For me, I'll just give you some of them. First, going to college. I went as far away as I possibly could, knowing I could still drive home for Thanksgiving. So a 24-hour drive. I went to school way far away from home, down in Louisiana, in New Orleans. That's why I live here. And then after school, after college, I went to Europe. And a lot of people were doing that, but I went on a pretty big trip. I earned a lot of money beforehand, saved up money. And then I moved to Berlin, and I picked Berlin when it was still behind the Iron Curtain. It was still in East Germany, where Russia or USSR controlled East Germany. And it was pretty bold of a move. And then I just happened to live there when the wall fell, the wall opened up, and I helped open it up. And it was right timing, right place, right time, bold move. I decided to get my master's, and I moved to Holland and got my MBA there. That was a bold move. Then I decided to rejoin my family business because I wanted to have the experience of working side by side with my dad as an adult, just something I wanted to do. And so I made this bold move and joined the family business. And then after a few years, I realized I got that satisfaction of working with my dad, but there's a bit of head butting. We're really similar, and I had other family members there. And so my next bold move was like, all right, I'm getting out of there. I pulled myself out. I had done what I wanted to do there, and I started up my own consulting business. And then my wife and I wanted to have kids, and so we wanted to adopt. We had to adopt, and we adopted from Cambodia. And when we went to pick up my son, let's see if I have a photo. There's a photo of him right there. He's a lot older now, but we went to Cambodia during its civil war. We were told, don't leave downtown Phnom Penh because there's still fighting going on. They told us to bring $5,000 and put it into our pants and carry it with us in case we got kidnapped. I kid you not, it was safe, it all worked, but it was a bold move in that day. I started up my whole peer group community and really put myself out there to try to help others. And now we're 130 strong with people joining all the time, really developing kind of like a mini association, if you will, where we're really helping each other and supporting each other. If you want to learn more about some of the bold moves I've made, you can listen to my podcast. Even starting that podcast was a bold move. Who am I to have a podcast, right? And I started up an interview podcast during the pandemic. And I only interview people that I want to talk to. So a lot of podcasts out there put out podcasts daily, twice a week, weekly, and they get watered down. And so my podcasts, I just drop them every couple of weeks when I've got somebody where there's an interesting story that will interest me, and then I know it will interest you. So my podcast is The Ultimate Landscape CEO. You can find it on Apple Podcasts. I'll show you a photo of it real quick so you can just see, you'll know it when you get there by the photo. Give me a split second here. So there's the photo, there's the podcast. And I did one recently on myself, learning about myself. And so you can listen to that to learn a whole bunch. So in summary here, this warrior mindset starts with your body. Keep your health above all else. Number two, it's your mind. Keep your mind sharp. It takes time, dedicate the time reading to keep your mind sharp. Number three, expand your vision with travel, but don't just be a tourist. Number four, Use your ears and meet people outside your community. Number 5, your spirit. Strengthen yourself always, and strengthen yourself first as needed in order to help other people. Number 6, articulate your goals daily and help others do the same. Number 7, once you've reached some level of self-actualization, or don't even wait till then, help others, make other lives better, grow the pie. Number 8, keep your youthful fire lit. And number 9, remember to go forth boldly, make those big moves. In the end, that's what's going to create your life arc that will minimize regrets, keep life interesting, and help you interweave your dreams with reality. So we have 7 minutes for Q&A, and then I am going to open up for networking, and I'll put you into groups. I'm going to stop the recording now. For those that are going to listen to this, you're going to miss the great Q&A, and you're going to miss the breakouts, but I hope you enjoyed this recording.